Hey guys, Jay and Brian again. Welcome back to 20 to Profitability. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, I am doing great, Jay. How you doing today, brother?
Oh, it's awesome. It's Monday, man. Best day of the week.
Heck yeah.
Because you get, you try to keep working on the weekends and nobody else is. So when you do what you love, Monday's an awesome day. So we got our 20 minutes. Timer's going. So everybody, we do 20 minutes because, like Brian says, if you got more than 20 minutes to learn stuff, we can tell you why you're not profitable from the
Yeah,
get.
that's your issue.
And that's what we're doing here. We talk to independent consultants about how to develop a more profitable practice. And a lot of that has to do with the tools that we offer, so I don't hide that fact. But the majority of the stuff we're talking about here is all free education on how you can improve your practice. But today, Brian asked me a question earlier this morning, or just now. He said, we never really stopped to kind of give them an explanation as to why you should listen to us. Brian and I do these things every week, and there's dozens and dozens of videos that you guys can go watch about how to make better referral programs or what the real way to invoice properly is, or negotiating or sales or marketing or so on and so forth if you're an independent consultant coach. He's right. We didn't really ever stop to say, who are we and why should you even listen to us? Which, I don't know, I guess we didn't think about it. So we're going to do a little bit of education piece today, but it's going to be a little bit about who are we and why us? Why Innermetrix? Why should I continue to listen to you guys over here and what we have to offer? So Brian, what were you thinking?
I mean, it fits our model. I mean, our model is the DTS, right? Do it, teach it, support it. And here's the thing. Back when I was purchasing and acquiring instruments from other vendors, most of the folks, if not all of them, had never walked a mile in my moccasins. They were speaking from a position of theory, or they'd already, I mean, you look at some folks and there are folks that have everything kind of given to them and then they take it and either, grow it, maintain it or whatever. And then there are those that know the grit and the grind to start from nothing and make something. And I had never been really mentored and instructed by anybody they would give me instruments or training materials or whatever I was buying as a solopreneur. And they go, hey, it's so easy. Just go out and say this stuff. Well, that stuff was all way after all the ugly things. And I think, you and I were talking 18, 19 years ago, and just that's the part I think a lot of folks miss is, growing a firm or a practice or a solopreneur isn't pretty. And that's a little bit we want to share today. I mean, it is just, man, it's great. I don't have words to it. It's all in the amygdala part of my brain because I've done it twice from scratch, and it is a grind.
Oh, there's a great book. Gerber wrote The E-Myth, and it's a fantastic book. I spoke on stage once in Banff next to him and then after him, and he's kind of aggressive with it. I mean, he was just downright an a-hole to some people in the audience. But the book was written in a happier time, I think, for him, where he's spot on. I just had that conversation Friday I was telling you about with a prospect, and 30 years specializing in human resources, but they've always been in larger organizations, and they fail to understand. And E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth, talks about the same thing. Just jumping in, you assume I'm an expert at this. I'm awesome at that. I'm great at this. But you're contained inside an entire engine. There's pistons and there's valves and there's gas lines and timing belts and radiators. And there's a whole bunch of stuff around you, and human resources and compliance people and customer service and finance and executive. You strip all that away and you say, look, it's just me. I'm going to stand here all by myself. I'm not in a big city anymore where I can go buy a loaf of bread on the corner whenever I want. Right. I'm in the middle of frickin' nowhere, way past the Missouri line, and I got an axe and a bunch of trees. And most people make that mistake and they go, well, I'm awesome at this. I've been a sales manager for 28 years. I can teach people how to sell and improve their sales organization better. I can go sell it to companies right now.
Right.
And it's tough. And they don't realize, man, when you're doing it on your own. So real quick, Brian, tell them why. I mean, here's why we're resistant to this. We don't ever talk about ourselves. We don't have sales programs and marketing programs where we say, look at us. It's always being focused on the best practices and the other consultants and coaches. So it's a little weird for us to stop. And maybe that's why I'm kind of being jerky here. Not sure how to best talk about it. So Brian,
It's so cool, man.
Where
You know
did you
what's
come
so
from, and
yeah.
how'd you start it?
Well, here's the thing. I think is exactly what you just described, Jay. When I worked for GE Capital, man, doors opened and stuff just got done, and I didn't realize how bad I sucked
Yeah.
until I left. And I didn't realize that, having that name of General Electric under my name, it really got me a lot of get out of jail free tickets, and it opened up a lot of doors. And so it was a brutal grind. I mean, I had 4 kids, a wife, and I tell you what, man, it was incredibly intense. And so one of the things that's so powerful when we're helping these new consultants or even existing consultants that are trying to reinvent their business, right? Which is something that happens for most of them about every 24 to 30 months or so. They got to find that new flavor or that new, if you use a golf analogy, the new, club in the bag. How do they continue to stay relevant, right? Relevant to the market? Because you can have the best, credentials and the best pedigree. We recently had a independent consultant come on board who started, started repping the Innermetrix products, and was crazy because she was a college professor. She was a senior executive at a not-for-profit, and she came into us and she goes, "Hey, I've got this amazing business plan. I've worked with the SBA. I've got the money. We're going to, and I've got all these folks that said they're going to buy when I get out there, or they're associates of mine." She called us 4 months in and in tears. And she said, they all lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
They all said that, they were going to come on board and they didn't. And so we had the opportunity to get back in and look at the instruments and tools that we have and helped her build her go-to-market in a way that she had never thought of, because what she had in terms of her pedigree and her past didn't open the doors for the future. A lot of folks will get out and they'll have like that one anchor client that will pay the bills for a period of time, which is really your inspiration for driving the profitable consultant as not only a concept and a methodology, but almost a roadmap and a textbook for, an independent solopreneur consultant who wants to go out and figure out how to serve a marketplace and earn a good, a wage out of that. So,
well, where'd you come from? I mean, I know you came out of GE Capital, and so you had the same, left a great job. I did the same. I was with Johnson & Johnson, and I founded Innermetrix 20 years ago. I've been talking with you probably for 17, 18 years now. I met you pretty early on. We know, to address the topic we're talking about, why should you guys listen to anything Innermetrix has to say? Myself, Brian, Jennifer, Alan, Olivier, Indira, anybody out there
right,
who's leading a team or helping lead a region. Innermetrix is about 1,600 consultants right now, active. Yeah. That's about 52 countries represented. We're from Australia to Dubai to the Middle East, Far East, basically
you're good with numbers, Jay. What, off the top of your head, I mean, what does that represent in terms of market? Like, I mean, what does Innermetrix provide as a platform that allows for the market in terms of just generating revenue out there? That's kind of an interesting thing to think about there.
I'm good with numbers because my calculator's fast.
Whatever.
If we average the typical take home, and this is average, at $75,000 US for our clients, that's being very conservative. We've got those that's just starting out or making $40,000 or $50,000 a year, and they're getting out, they're getting those clients going. Sure. We've got plenty that are doing $200,000 and $300,000 a year. Quite a few. I can think of names right off the top of my head. But if we average it at 75,000, these 1,600 consultants, we're Innermetrix certified. The Innermetrix family is driving $120 million a year in sales revenue.
Wow.
And I think that's conservative. These are people who are using our tools to support their practice. The best practices that we talk about with you guys come from these successful consultants and coaches all over the world, from Sao Paulo, Brazil, all the way up to Ireland and Scotland and Denmark, and all the way, it goes completely around the world.
Yeah.
So 120 million. So when we say, why do we listen to Innermetrix? Well, Brian did the same thing. He was a GE, left. He's actually had to put food on his table to feed his kids by going out and saying, there's nobody but me. It's a solopreneur. I got nothing and I got nobody. So I better figure out how the hell to make it happen. I had 3 kids, same thing, 3 kids, left a great job at J&J, great sales job, company car, benefits, you name it. And same thing, thinking, I'm shit hot. I can do this stuff. And you realize, without the J&J name behind me, people aren't opening the doors. They're like, who the hell are you? Yeah, no,
Right.
put the J&J hat on. We'll open it up. So same thing. Got to go out, figure it out. And I've done it 3 times now. And one was a miserable failure. And the other 2 are 7- and 8-figure companies. So we listen to these consultants. We see what's working. We see what's happening. We're constantly interacting with them. And they're the ones that are teaching us. This is pragmatic. This is real world. That Profitable Consultant book was written by knowing what Brian learned, by knowing what his partner Jennifer learned, by knowing what Alan learned, by seeing what these consultants do and don't do successfully. And with that many people exposing, there's 10,000 plus organizations that have been using these profiles through these 1,600 consultants. There's almost 7 million employees who have been profiled using these tools through those consultants. So,
what's cool, Jay? Just taking a right turn right now. Last week, you had me go out and do some work with a firm that was coming on, and they use a competitor's product, right? And it's not a disc-based or a values-based, but it's a behavioral instrument, let's just call it. And they wanted to come on board and bring our instruments into their organization, right? And say, but it's interesting because they have a non-compete that says they can't use any other behavioral tool. And they said, but we need to find a way to be relevant. We need to find a way to increase value, for our marketplace and increase value for our employees that work for us. So there's a great example of why Innermetrix. And you're talking, you just got me to think about this. So here's what's crazy. So let's say you're a consultant out there and you're using a Myers-Briggs or Predictive Index or whatever instrument that you got. That's fine. That's one. Here's what this, and I'm going to tell you from why they said the last week was the most valuable time they've ever spent. And they never thought that they would get that from a supplier of products. Because most folks that supply products just teach you the theory of it. Now, here's what we went in and did. We went in and understood the instrument that they were using. I had to spend some time remedially understanding it because I didn't understand it. And I said, well, let's just take our values tool and our axiological tool, the dimension of thinking instruments. And we put together literally a strategy for them to go out to all of their 147 existing clients who love that one instrument that they're using, but that have started to kind of run its course. So here's one of the things that we tell our consultants that work for us. That's real world. Why Innermetrix? Here you go. When you buy a psychological instrument, you're not buying an instrument that measures behavior, personality, thinking. Here's what you're buying. You're buying a common language that helps you to discuss talent. It creates objectivity in a very subjective space. That's what you do. And so they came to us and said, hey, should we throw away our existing platform because it kind of seems as though it's run its course? Our question to them was, do you have a common language among your clients that you work with? They said, absolutely. But we have a gap, meaning it only tells us this much, and we feel like we're having to shoehorn people into their profiles. And I said, okay, fine. And Jay, you and I sat there and we just discussed. I said, so let's take a la carte our other 2 instruments and layer it underneath it. And these people's minds just went boom, not because we talked theory. We said, this is real world. If you exist, which Innermetrix does, to drive, you just gave us the number. It was a $250 or $120 million of market value. We don't do it because we say you have to denounce all other things talent.
God, no.
No,
I mean, you make a nice summary here. I mean, there's publishers of psychometric instruments. There's publishers of personality assessments. The majority of the people that are running those organizations, that's what they focus on, this assessment and the science behind it. And it's run by scientists and it's run by people that, originally wrote it and now they're just executives because the company's big enough. Find somebody in that organization who is a founder that started it by being an independent consultant that had to put food on their table. And that's our family. I can't think, there's nobody in those 1,600 consultants, and that's growing all the time. I don't know anybody that's in a large consulting practice. That's not, McKinsey and Company's not a client of ours. PwC is, but they're using it through an independent consultant who happens to have a team of 4, them and 2 senior partners and a junior partner. I can't think of anybody that has more than 4 or 5 people in the organization. These are all solopreneurs. These aren't people that said, hey, you know what, I'm with this 30-person huge consulting firm. I'm with Booz Allen. I'm with whatever. No, these are people like me and you and the people that are watching these things. And so our focus isn't on just, hey, here's this science and good luck. Hope you get to use it really well. If you go back and watch all the training videos, it's about how do I even survive? How do I make it as an independent consultant coach? And how do I put food on the table? And we teach you methodologies that do revolve around the personality assessments that we own, that I wrote. But it's to how to use them in the bigger context. That's the most important thing. And all of these videos that you watch in the past here, you go and look, it's talking about how do I use that when I'm writing a proposal? The diagnostic sales process. Go back and watch the diagnostic sales process and the do it, teach it, support it model. Those are the two core hinges that everything around here, hang on. Is how do I go get business in a way that's effective, has a 70% close rate. We did with one of the submaster distributor groups, Brian, you know this, we polled over like 200, like 190 something, I think it was, consultants who were using this process. And how many of them took somebody from a lead that was a prospect or a suspect to paying client? They actually cut a check for something, some service, some value. It was 70%.
Yeah.
When you follow the diagnostic sales process, which we don't go into here because we've already gone into it in the video, so go back and watch it. That's why Innermetrix. We're like you. We've done it. We've had to do it before. We've screwed up. We've gone, without food for a while. We know what it means to lose the company around you and have to start from scratch. And it's about getting out there and having the resources from people that, not just us, but those other 1,600 who are constantly teaching us, hey, this worked. Hey, this is cool. Hey, here's what's happening in this shift in business and economy and the new buzzwords. And we're plugged in and we're real. And we're still to this day doing the same thing. Brian and I don't sit high and mighty, never ever working with other clients. We have customers that we're interacting with all the time.
Well, and the reason for that is it keeps us fresh. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like technology. The moment you get out of the game, man, it's moving. And in our world, there are so many. Yeah.
You said irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Absolutely. I mean,
you just said it.
What wakes me up now, because here's what I'm grateful for is I'm grateful for those major difficulties when I left corporate and went out and thought I was going to make a go of it and took my 401k and cashed it in, looked my wife in the eyes and my 4 kids and said, it's going to be fine. And then we get going. And then in 2007, it takes a tank. And and so here's what's great. Because we've been through enough of those little hiccups at Innermetrix, what we don't do is we don't wonder if we're going to be relevant. That's the only thing we think about. And so all we do is capture new ideas, find unique ways to position everything that we're doing so that not today you're relevant as a solopreneur, but tomorrow and the next quarter and the next year. And the moment we stop giving new ideas to our consultants, that's the time to cash in. It's not about the money. It's about the ability to think in a crisp, aggressive way about where the market will be. And then the imitators can follow along. But you know what? It's not if, it's just when we're going to work with you, the independent consultant out there.
Well, and the reason the other companies that provide personality assessments out there, I think, only focus on the personality assessments is because they don't have anything but observers' understanding of everything else that goes into the person who uses it. The independent consultant is foreign to them. I mean that you don't look at all their training and all their education is focused on how do I understand this assessment? How do I apply this assessment when I'm debriefing it? What does this term mean? And what's the science behind this page? Because everybody in the organization, just go look at who they are. They're all employees in a large organization. They're not independent consultants. They never were independent consultants, and they don't have to make money going and doing what you're doing. So they and I give them this, there's credence there and there's honor and ethics there. They don't try to tell you stuff they don't know. They tell you what they know. Here's the science behind the assessments, and here's how you read them and what they mean and how they're interpreted, because that's what they know. So thank God they're being honest and going, all right, hey, as far as how you do it, I know cleaning solutions. I don't know what it takes to run a cleaning business and go off and get contracts to clean a corporate center after 5:30 at night. But I know chemicals and I know agents. And so I'll tell you about these things. Good luck. I hope you figure out how to run a successful corporate cleaning business so you continue to need these things. we came out of the cleaning business.
All right, here we go. We're going to be 20 minutes, baby.
Everybody we do. Oh, I got the timer. So you got 4 seconds. Say goodbye.
Hey, like, subscribe, check us out, give us a call, put us to the test. Just put me to the test. Give us a holler.
As we say, time to go sell some shit. Good luck.
Later.